It's my belief that Unitarian Universalism can be and is life-saving. It is certainly true for me, and I want to explain it to you. Though I'm not sure how to put it into words. I mean, I feel it, I sense it, I know it, but how do I explain it? It just seems so darn complicated. When I was serving as a pastor of worship and children's ministries up in Portland, Oregon, it was an evangelical church up there, proclaiming the saving grace, the saving aspect of Christianity, it was very straightforward. Jesus was my Lord and Savior, who sacrificed himself on the cross in order to reconcile my soul to the Creator of the universe, to God. You may know that evangelical Christians often talk about a conversion experience. This is when a person becomes Christian or born again. The moment that one accepts Jesus into the heart, which washes all life's sins away, both past and future. The story of what led up to that conversion experience and how life has been changed is what's known as one's testimony. I seem to have a number of testimonies in my life. And I think that that's healthy as a person who's growing in faith. So here's my new testimony. I hope that it'll explain how Unitarian Universalism is a saving grace for me. The story begins about a decade ago in a meeting of a board of trustees with the elders in that church in Portland that I spoke of. We were developing a children's ministry safety policy. One of the elders, whose granddaughters adored me as their pastor, spoke up and said, "What is really important is that we do not let one of those gays work with any of our children. Our children are not safe with those kinds of people." You see, I had been avoiding and hiding a part of myself from the congregation and even to myself. But it was at that moment that I realized I could no longer stay there, for I knew that I was not welcome. I thought, hold on a minute. I'm gay, and those kids are safer with me than anyone I know. I felt betrayed by my faith, right there and right then. I felt like the psalmist in the Hebrew Scriptures who called out, "Open your ear, God, to my prayer." Don't pretend that you're not hearing me knocking. Come close and whisper your answer. I really need you. I shudder at the mean voice. My insides are turned out. Who will give me wings, I ask? Wings, like a dove. Get me out of here. I'm desperate for a change from stormy and the rage of weather. A still, small voice came from within and said, "It's time to go home." And so I did. I came home to the Bay Area and ultimately found myself interviewing to be music director at a Unitarian Universalist congregation. A Unitarian Universalist congregation? That was pretty heretical. As I was being offered the job, one of the members of the search committee said to me, "We are so glad we found you. And yet, you don't know how glad you're going to be that you found us." Thank you, Sheila. You were right. A few years later, a moment came that I likened to a kind of conversion experience, kind of like that. It was the Sunday following the California Supreme Court announcement that granted rights to same-sex partners to be married. We announced the decision right here in our worship service, and the congregation broke out in spontaneous and thunderous applause and cheers. It was the purest, most honest act of worship I have ever seen from any congregation, and it came from a place of love. And then we sang, "Oh, freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes, I know." And I cried like a little baby. I was born again, knowing I was fully accepted into a congregation that stands on the side of love. Do you need a conversion experience to be a Unitarian Universalist? No. I had already been a UU in my worldview. But that moment made it real for me. I'm safe here. I'm saved here. I'm home here. Maybe it isn't as complicated as I thought. The life-saving aspect of our religious community is narrowed down into just 3 things, as it says in 1 Corinthians 13 of the Christian scriptures: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. That's the saving grace of Unitarian Universalism, the greatest love I have ever known. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.